Hello everyone, this video is for grade 8 chapter 2 continuation of trade to territory. So in the last video we saw about Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar and also the Anglo-Mysore War. In this video we are going to see how Britishers now turned their way to Marathas, that is war with Marathas. So Marathas were basically divided into many states under different chiefs, sardars. So after Mysore, now the target was Marathas, as they wanted to take over the complete power in India. Their next aim was to subdue or overthrow Marathas. Marathas were divided into chiefs or sardars. They were Sindhia from Gwalior, Holkar from Indore, Gaikwad from Baroda, Bhosle from Nagpur. Peshwa were the principal minister of higher position. So Sindhia, Holkar, Gaikwad, Bhosle were the important chiefs who were under Peshwa. Peshwa was the principal chief person, and these were under him. Chiefs were held together in a confederacy under Peshwa. Mahatji Sindhia and Nana Fadnis were two famous Maratha soldiers. So you have to remember these two names who were very famous Maratha soldiers. No doubt Marathas were a major power in front of the company. From late 18th century, the company also sought to curb and eventually destroy Maratha power. As already I said you, now Britishers had targeted on Marathas. Though Maratha was a major power, Siraj-ud-Dawla was also a major or a powerful ruler. Tipu Sultan was also powerful ruler. But still they were subdued, or they were crushed, or they were destroyed by the Britishers. Now it was the turn of Marathas to be destroyed by the Britishers. Marathas were not defeated in a single war. Like Mysore war only, Marathas were also not defeated into a single war. In Marathas also there were 4 Anglo-Mysore war. Here there are 3 Anglo-Maratha war. So basically Anglo means English people or British people. So Marathas were not defeated in a single war. Company subdued Marathas in a series of war. The first Anglo-Maratha war, which was held in 1775 to 1782. In this, there was no clear victory in British. Treaty of Salbai was signed in this first Anglo-Maratha war, according to which the 20 years there will be no attack on each other. That is, neither the English will attack nor the Marathas will attack on each other for 20 years. Then second Anglo-Maratha war. It was in 1803 to 1805. British proved to be successful in war. In this second Anglo-Maratha war, British proved to be successful. In first, there was no clear victory. Second, the Britishers were successful. British gained the territory of Orissa, Agra and Delhi. So, they took over Agra, Orissa and Delhi. Third Anglo-Maratha war, which was in 1817 to 1819. This was a major and decisive battle. Maratha power was crushed totally. The Peshwas were removed and sent away to Bittur in Kanpur with pension. So you could now ask, Peshwa could have been killed. Why didn't the Britishers kill them? They did not kill Peshwa. Instead they shifted and made him, this is him, live on pension to show Indians the shift of power. So just to show the common people that now the great Marathas are no more, they are not powerful, Britishers are powerful. Now there is a shift of power from Marathas to British, to show that they did not kill Peshwa. Instead they sent him to Bittur in Kanpur with pension. So it was Jhansi Ki Rani Lakshmibai who came from Bittur to take revenge on Britishers later on. You will study it in the later chapters. Then after subduing Marathas, there was a claim to Paramountcy, which is a policy which was been adopted by the Britishers. From early 19th century, company pursued an aggressive policy of territorial expansion. So there was aggressive policy of territorial expansion which was called as claim to paramountcy. Policy of paramountcy. What is this? It was initiated by Lord Hastings. Then British Lord Hastings in 1813 to 1823. Company claimed that its authority was paramount or supreme. Under this policy, company claimed that its authority is paramount or supreme. Hence, British declared that its power was greater than that of Indian states. So, under this policy of paramountcy, British declared that we are supreme. No other king is greater than Britishers. Under this policy, they declared themselves paramount or supreme. Under this, they justified annexation and threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. They justified under this policy that we are supreme, we can annex or take away any territory or subdue or destroy any power. So this policy continued in the process of British expansion. The challenges during British expansion. This policy of paramountcy did not go unchallenged. It was challenged by Kittur. During the annexation of Kittur in Karnataka, Rani Channamma took to arms and led an anti-British resistant movement. So she was the first lady to go against the Britishers and say that I am not going to give you the this Kittur. She was arrested in 1824, died in prison in 1829. Later, Rayanna, a Chaukidar of Sangoli in Kittur, carried on the resistance. So when she died, when she was arrested even, Kittur was not given immediately. Sangoli Rayanna fought for Kittur. Though she was in prison, Sangoli Rayanna took over the charge and kept on fighting for Kittur, kept on resisting for Kittur. So, when she died in the prison in 1829, he was caught and hanged by British in 1830. So, she was the first lady who fought against the Britishers. Then, now they attacked Mysore. They undertook Mysore. They undertook Marathas. They undertook Bengal. Okay, all these parts were being taken away, and now northwest expansion of British territory in India. East India Company was worried with Russian expansion. So during that time, Russia was ruled by Tsar. So you can see here, this is Russia, and this is India. Here is India and here is Russia. Here Tsar Nicholas II was ruling. He was expanding his empire. Okay, and Britishers were fearing that this expansion would come to India like this. In northwest side, if the Russians enter India, it would be difficult for them. Okay, that is from northwest. From this side, Russians may enter India, they felt. So that they to conquer other Asian parts, Russians would enter India. So they wanted to secure this part. The Britishers wanted to secure this part. So they, now after Marathas, they concentrated here. Got the point? Now why did they go to northwest? Expansion of their territory now. So they thought that Russians might expand across Asia and enter India from northwest. Therefore, British now wanted to secure their control over the northwest side of India. There were prolonged war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842. Sindh, which is now in Pakistan, was taken over in 1843. Next in line was Punjab. But it was not so easy to win over Punjab because Maharaja Ranjit Singh was very strong. So in Punjab, Maharaja Ranjit Singh was very strong, so they could not take over Punjab. They took over Sindh. There was prolonged war with Afghanistan, and Afghanistan was also under them now. After his death in 1839, two prolonged war were fought with Sikh kingdom and Punjab was annexed. So you can see how cunning or how clever the Britishers were. When they came to know that Maharaja Ranjit Singh is very powerful in Punjab, they waited for few days. After his death only they started waging war against Sikh kingdom. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh was basically from Sikh kingdom. So they were, after his death, due to prolonged war, Sikh kingdom and war against Sikh kingdom, Punjab was annexed. Now, after that, there was one more policy which was been adopted, that is the doctrine of lapse. In this policy was devised by Lord Dalhousie. So you have to remember all these names. So this policy was devised by Lord Dalhousie. He was the Governor General from 1848 to 1856. This policy helped British a lot in annexation of Indian states. This doctrine declared that if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, his kingdom would lapse in the hands of British. Means what? If any kingdom, according to this doctrine of lapse, according to this policy, if any Indian rulers died without male heir, without a son, then that kingdom would lapse in the or go in the hands of the Britishers. If there is female also, that would go in the hands of the Britishers. They said that if no male heir is there in the kingdom, then automatically the kingdom would go in the hands of the Britishers. It will become the part of company's territory. Under this doctrine, Satara, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Nagpur, Jhansi, Awadh were taken away. So these were the kingdoms wherein there were no male heir or son. You can say daughters were there. Here Jhansi was there. She had adopted the child. So even if there is adopted son also, the kingdom would go in the hands of the Britishers. Okay. So here their own son should be there, and their daughter will not at all be considered. During the annexation of Awadh, British had an added argument. They said that why this doctrine is made, because they were obliged by duty to take over Awadh in order to free the people from misgovernment of Nawab. So they said that if a king does not have any son, he will adopt a son, and that adopted son may not rule properly. So it is our duty, obliged duty, to take care of our people. So we are taking over or annexing the kingdom. They are freeing the people from misgovernment of Nawab, they said. But actually it was not so. It was their own, you can say it was for their territory expansion that they did it. Enraged with this humiliation, people of Awadh joined the Great Revolt of 1857. So people of Awadh got angry by this word, that misgovernment of Nawabs. So they were enraged and humiliated, and they joined the revolt of 1857. That is, in 1857 what happened? Hope you all remember from 6th standard that there was cartridge, and in that cartridge bull's fat and cow's fat was being wrapped, and it was against the religious sentiment. So this was also Awadh joined the revolt of 1857. Then now setting up of new administration. Now they have a vast empire. England is a very small country like Haryana in our country. So it is a very small country. Now the British people have got such a big country which is 100 times bigger than their England. So now to administer that, they need to set up a new administration, right? They need to have some strategies, policies, way of administrating. So what did they do? So now setting up of new administration. Here the rule of country was to rule a country we need administrative setup. Warren Hastings was the Governor General from 1773 to 1785. He played a significant role in expansion of company's power. Who? Warren Hastings. British power was expanding. Company had acquired power not only in Bengal but also in Bombay and Madras. So power was acquired not only in Bengal, it was in Bombay as well as in Madras. Thus, British territory were broadly divided into administrative units called presidencies. There were 3 presidencies. So mainly the power was in Bengal, Bombay and Madras. So they divided it into 3 presidencies: Bengal presidency, Madras presidency, Bombay presidency. Each presidency was ruled by a governor and the supreme head was Governor General. So here the supreme head was Warren Hastings, the Governor General, till 1785. Got the point here? Now, administrative reforms were also being done. What are reforms? Nothing but changes. Administrative changes were being done. Warren Hastings introduced several administrative reforms. In the sphere of justice, there was reform. In the sphere of army, there was reform. Let's see what happened in the sphere of justice. From 1772, new sphere of justice was established. In each district, there was criminal court, civil court. Criminal court was called as Faujdari Adalat, civil court was called as Diwani Adalat. These criminal court were under Qazi and Mufti. So this criminal court was under Qazi and Mufti, under the supervision of collector. These civil courts were under Maulvis and Hindu Pandits who interpreted Indian laws for the European district collectors. Okay, so this was the division of administration in the sphere of justice. That is, to make a clear picture, I have just divided it. So each district had criminal court, civil court, which was called as Faujdar. Criminal court was called as Faujdari Adalat. Civil court was called as Diwani Adalat. Under criminal court, these courts were under Qazi and Mufti, supervised by collectors, and Diwani court was under Maulvis and Hindu Pandits who interpreted the Indian laws for the European district collectors. Here this is the administrative chart of sphere of under the sphere of justice, under how reforms are made in judiciary system. Now, collectors played an important role. So these collectors played an important role, and therefore these collectors had you can say powers. They were important in the British period. Was administration going so easy with this system? Was administration, so they divided this, was it going on very easy? There were some challenges.